as a teacher is that you need to sometimes have a roster of students, ID numbers, email addresses to do things like GoGuardian rosters or Edpuzzle or what have you. A lot of these services work pretty well with Google Classroom. And so if the kids are in your Google Classroom, you basically have a roster to work with. But sometimes with Schoology, not so much so. So a simple workaround could be a beginning of term form that you can create where you collect the student's email address, their first and last name, their ID, and their class period. And this can at least give you a workable file that you can use for things as they come up as you need them. So to get it set up, what I did is I created a very, very simple Google form. I can just call it class roster. And I would ask the students for their ID number, the student's first and last name, and then I would do a multiple choice for the class period. Another thing that I would do too is in the settings is I would collect the email address and restrict them to their GUHSD account. That way I'm getting their actual GUHSD email address, which sometimes I need, but also more importantly, if the student mistypes his or her ID, I can at least capture it from the email address itself. Okay. Once that's done, I would then go ahead and go to the responses and create a response sheet. And it could look something like this. I just made up some junk data just to make it work. But I would see basically their email address, their ID number, their last and first name. There's a very, very simple way that you can sort that, and that's by highlighting your columns, going to Data, Sort Range. I do have headers. So what I can do is I can search it by class period or sort it by class period, and then sort it by last name, and then sort it by first name, because I may have some students with the same last name. And when I get that now, I'll get my period 2 students A to Z, my period 3 students A to Z. And I could simply just make a period 2 folder, or a file rather, go over and collect those names and numbers. Right? And then do the same thing for period 3. This way, I'll have everything that I need to have, and then if I have to go to GoGuardian, I have that roster ready to go in whatever way makes sense.